I said, son, if you want this, you can do this. You can do this. And he meant to say to me, he says to me, Dad, I'll see it when I believe it. And he actually said that by accident because he meant, I believe it when I see it. And I stopped him and I said, son, did you hear what you just said? You just said, I'll see it when I believe it. And that is the most true thing that's ever going to come out of your mouth.
Welcome to the No Limits Podcast, where limits do not exist, where you can create cash flow, equity, and real freedom with the power of real estate.
3, 4. Now, we will begin.
Welcome to the dojo.
Hey, Todd, Toback here, and I wanted to share this short episode with you because I just had an amazing moment with my son that I think translates directly to business, and we were both affected by it. So I was just sitting down with my son and talking about his swimming performance, and he's a swimmer. Actually, all of my kids were swimmers, and I was a swimmer also. And man, this kid, he is just so amazing. He works so hard, and he puts in the work, and he loves to race, and it's every single day at the end of practice, they get on the blocks, and the coach has them race each other. And we were talking about a big meet that he wants to go to this summer. And right now it's a little bit out of his reach, or at least he thinks so. He's far from the qualifying times. And two of his really close friends who don't necessarily work as hard as he does, right? They tend to skip a little more practices and tend to loaf off a little bit more in practice than he does. He's growing increasingly frustrated because he is seeing them get faster, and he's definitely progressing, but just not at the pace that he wants. And so I was talking to him about the meet because he wants to go, right? It's his desire to go, and I don't push my kids in terms of their goals. I just kind of like to hear their goals and then kind of push them towards that and support them in the way that I can. And so I said, son, if you want this, you can do this. You can do this. And he meant to say to me, he says to me, Dad, I'll see it when I believe it. And he actually said that by accident because he meant, I believe it when I see it. And I stopped him and I said, son, did you hear what you just said? You just said, I'll see it when I believe it. And that is the most true thing that's ever going to come out of your mouth. I go, part of the thing that will hold you back, which I know that you can do it if you want it, okay, is that you first have to believe that you can do it. Okay, I'm going to come back to my oldest son in a minute. But a lot of times I talk to people who want to do bigger deals, right? They want to get to that $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 deal mark, right? They want to do a $100,000 deal or a $200,000 deal, and they want those businesses which throws off cash month after month after month without the personal day-to-day involvement, and they want a really profitable business. And for them, it's really hard for them to believe that they deserve that. It's a self-sabotaging, basically self-fulfilling prophecy. And so I've seen that. You're like, Todd, enough with the mumbo jumbo, positive self-talk. No, this is a very, very real thing. And I'm going to come back here to my oldest son. Okay. So what does this mean, and how does this actually affect you? Well, I have seen time and time again, especially when people want to joint venture with me, one of the things I ask them is, what is your average deal size? And they're like, $10,000, $15,000. And I say, okay, let me guess. Almost all of your deals are $10,000 or $15,000. They're like, yeah, but in my market, that's the deal sizes here. And I'm like, okay. And I'm like, so you're telling me that magically, and all the sellers have the same exact motivation, and then your buyers are willing to buy only at the margin of between $10,000 and $15,000. Is that what you're telling me? Because I can tell you that's the biggest coincidence that I've ever heard. And they're like, and they kind of take a chuckle. And what they'll find, and I go, what is actually the more realistic situation here? And we talk over it, and inevitably we find out that in their mind, right, they are negotiating $10,000 or $15,000 because subconsciously they agree that that is all they are worth, right? That the seller is not going to give them a lower price, or the 10 or the 15 or the 20 or the $50,000, or that that they're not going to be able to negotiate, or they're going to lose the deal, right? Or the seller's going to find out they're making too much. And if for whatever reason they are able to negotiate a deal or do it by accident, that's really, really good. When they go to sell it, then they just throw $10,000 on top of the price, or $15,000 on top of the price to give them an assignment fee, right? And so you will see this self-sabotaging behavior because it's very, very, very real. When they negotiate with their buyers, they will always default back to that $10 or $15 or $20,000.
Hey, Todd Toback here, and if you're looking to lock up big, fat, juicy wholesale deals and you want to feel confident when talking to motivated sellers, you've got to check out my No Limits Selling System. This is the exact step-by-step system that my team has used to lock up millions in wholesale fees in San Diego, Florida, and deals across the country. Go ahead and check out NoLimitsSellingSystem.com. It's the exact step-by-step program, clearly laid out with checklists, scripts, videos, training, mindset tricks, everything you could possibly think of to be more confident so that you could lock up monster wholesale fees. Check out NoLimitsSellingSystem.com.
The first step to you doing $50,000 deals per pop, to average this, or $100,000 deals, is to expect it, to know that you deserve it, to know that you bring enough value to make that money. Because if you weren't bringing that value, you're not going to make it. And if you don't believe that you're bringing that value, well, then you can forget it. And so that first step, you've got to believe it. One of the examples I give a lot is I am obnoxiously claim the title for the best parking spot finder. And so whenever my wife and I or my kids, we enter a crowded parking lot, I always get the best parking spots because I believe I'm going to get that best parking spot. So what do? I pull up in the first row where I want to be, and I just wait. And then I wait. And then I wait, and then I wait for someone to pull out. And then someone pulls out, and I grab that spot. And there are other people who will just circle the lot and circle the lot and circle the lot, and until they just wait for someone far to get that spot because they don't believe that they can get that front spot. Okay, the same goes for the same thing with a wholesale deal, right? Is that if you believe that you can and deserve, and you bring enough value to make $50,000 or $100,000, then you are going to now negotiate that type of deal with a seller. You are willing to walk away from a deal that's only going to make you $8,000, $10,000, $15,000. And ironically, when you're willing to walk away, that is what gives you the power to walk away in your head. When you know that you are bringing the value, that gives you the ability to do that. This also stems from hiring an acquisition specialist. So I know a lot of people are scared to hire an acquisition specialist because they feel like they're going to create competition. And they're like, well, why would this person follow me and not just steal my business? Or even a lead manager, right? What if they run into a hot lead and they steal my lead? Well, that's you believing that you don't bring enough value to those people. And so you have to believe that you're giving these people a good opportunity and that they're not going to steal from you. And by the way, you're more likely to steal from yourself with self-limiting beliefs and try and do all the work yourselves than to have somebody in your company steal from you. I'm not saying that you shouldn't have checks and balances and watch your leads carefully. You should, right? You shouldn't tempt people. But in terms of hiring, all of these attitudes of what we believe we are affect our actions. And it's not like these things magically appear. It's when we believe it, right, we then take the very next action, that next step that we would take to get us that thing. So going back to my son, if he believes that he is close to this big meet at the end of the summer, right, what is he going to do? Well, when there's a morning practice, if he feels like sleeping in, if he knows he's close, he's going to go to that morning practice. If he believes that he's only a few tweaks away, right, he's going to watch that video, right, on YouTube to make him a better swimmer, right? Again, this is all his choice. But we were having that conversation. I'm like, look, you have to believe it, and then you can see it. And it really, really, really sunk in, because I talked about the parking spots, and I actually talked about real estate deals, right? I talk really, really openly with my son, and I'm like, in the house buying business, there's a lot of people who want to make $8,000-$10,000, and I'm like, Dad, he pioneered the average $50,000 wholesale fee, and that's because you have to believe it before you can see it. And it's an amazing thing. And so my wish for you is, look, maybe you don't have to do a $50,000 deal today, okay? But maybe you can push that up from $10,000 up to $25,000 or $25,000 to $35,000. But know your value. We solve a lot of problems in this business. We help sellers. You spend a tremendous amount of marketing in which you need to get an ROI, right? You help the economy. You help relieve stress. You help people move on to that next phase of their life. So make a great living doing it. If you're interested in learning more how you can own a business that throws off cash month after month after month, and you want to work less and you want to get off the treadmill of small, tiny deals, head on over to nextlevelwholesaling.com. There's an amazing assessment that you can take there. It's totally free. It's going to rate you in the 4 core areas of your wholesaling business, and I'm telling you, you're going to absolutely love it, and I will talk to you on the next episode.